Так, шановні гості, ми готові входити в ефір. Буквально починається ролик, і потім вже ви в ефірі. Шановні гості, тиша в ефірі. Після ролику Ніна починайте говорити. Дякую.
Ти поставив будильник назад?
Где? Это сейчас все это в Фейсбуке где-то транслируется, да? Правильно?
Нікуди не йди. Я зараз повернусь. З підмогою.
Доброго вечора всім,
So good evening,
які
ladies
зараз
and
приєднались до
gentlemen,
нас
to
у
all of the audience
Фейсбуці, на
that has
Ютубі, в
joined us on
Зумі і
Facebook and YouTube and Zoom. So wherever you are, we're pleased to welcome you here. And today is going to be a very special Film Wednesday. Unfortunately, it's going to be once again in the remote format. But once again, we have going to celebrate today. This is the 6th anniversary of the organization, the Contemporary Ukrainian Cinema, that you all know as an abbreviation CUC. So basically, we're going to have today very topical evening. Then you have the opportunity to meet, well, at least not all of the participants of this organization, but you'll be able to talk to them, to ask them questions, not only to the people that you usually see at this different stages of film festivals, at different presentations. You will be able not only to meet the directors, but other participants of the Contemporary Ukrainian Cinema organization. And there's a lot of people behind the scenes, DOP, screenwriters, and many talented people who are making the contemporary cinema possible. We're really sorry for you to be waiting, to leave you waiting for this broadcast to start, but you can see we have so many guests today, so we really needed some time to tune everyone in. And I would like to remind you that this year, Film Wednesday, in this very nice spring season, is being held with the support of Ukrainian Cultural Foundation, and it has not one, but actually 4 different formats, the film screenings. And by the way, today we have in this day for the film screenings, and we have the really good partner, the TagFlix service, the online cinema, with support of which you can watch the debut films of the directors who are the members of the Contemporary Ukrainian Cinema. Those are 7 films that we're going to be talking about a couple minutes later. But right now, before we start, the very first thing that we would like to do is to get to know all of the people that you can see right now. If you join us in Zoom, and by the way, just wanted to remind you that all of us will be very happy to answer all the questions that you might have. So please, dear audience, dear guests, we're here for you today. So leave the comments on Facebook, YouTube, or in Zoom. So wherever you are, please make sure you're asking the questions, and we're definitely going to pass the floor to our participants. By the way, who we have today? So please meet people. First of all, we have Valeria Sochevets, director, producer, the president, and the co-founder of the Contemporary Ukrainian Cinema. We have Elmira Asadova, the film producer, and also the producer of the Film Wednesday, the event that we're actually taking place right now. And we have Pavlo Ostrikov, the director, screenwriter, the stand-up comedian. the author for the short film Stop Golden Love, Graduation 97, and Mia Donna. He's currently working for his full-length debut. We have Roman Hime, the DOP director, and by the way, we have been talking to him before last week, so please take a look at that as well. We have Serge Avdeyev, who is, I guess he's responsible for the sound for most of the films of the contemporary Ukrainian cinema. He is a sound director, composer, and the founder of the project Minimum Duo. We also have Anastasia Hruba with us, the screenwriter and editor, who's currently working at her directorial debut, and this is going to be a comedy, a black comedy, and we're sure that in some time, half a year before we're going to start the principal filming, we have Sabina Sadova, who's also the producer of all of these things that is called the Film Wednesday. With the whole help of Sabina and her efforts, we're always doing the broadcasting, live broadcasting, and you can join us online. By the way, we also have Anastasia Rushuk, the DOP of the different videos, short films, and who has been known for a lot of people who has been to our offline events as the cutest girl with this camera who makes those beautiful photos of the audience that is coming to watch the contemporary Ukrainian cinema films. We have Anna Savchenko, who is the coordinator of the Film Wednesday, who is this young generation of Ukrainian cinema who's currently studying at the producer faculty. We have Novruz Hikmat, who is the director, the first AD, the screenwriter. We have Katerina Hornostai, director and the screenwriter, and we are now awaiting her directorial full-length debut, Earth is Lava, and I do believe that we'll have a chance to talk to her about that slightly later. We also should have been joined by some other participants live, but they're still present with us. Philip Sotnichenko, director, co-founder of this organization, CUC. Rita Kovek, who has been the artist, who has been working in the different films of CUC. Yuri Shilov, another director, and Nikon Romanchenko, yet another director who was making up the CUC. Producer Denis Satanovsky and Antonio Lukic, director. Mikhailo Masloboyshikov, director as well. Another director, Taras Dron, and Maxim Nakonechny, Alexander Chubko, and Yeremo Malashuk. Those people are with us here spiritually. I can't even say how many people actually making up CUC, but I would like to get to the part when we are getting to meet all of the people here behind the scenes, maybe one by one. And maybe later on during the Q&A session, maybe we'll have some free format conversation after that. So right now I would like to ask all of our participants to turn on your microphones, and please, I'll start with Valeria Sachevets. So yes, hi, we can hear that. So the microphone is always on. Cool. Cool. Lera, hi, how are you doing? First of all, I'm congratulating you with so this is basically the birthday of your child, if we can say it like this. So how do you feel? Okay, I'm drinking a lot of water. Okay, Lera has just been, after filming the full-length directorial debut with one of the participants of the CUC and basically the co-founder of the CUC, Philip Sotnichenko. And today we're going to be watching Lera's film. No, we're not going to be watching this film, but but the audience are going to be able to watch your film and Philippe's film at Tuckflix for free. So how does it feel? What does a 6-year mean for you? Very cool, actually, because basically right now I have said it out of air because the people started writing out into the Facebook that, we have watched your film and Tuckflix. How are you filming that? We really like the visual part of it. And it was a real pleasure because, after all of those years, you can still understand that your film is actually maybe liked by people. It still can be relevant for people throughout these years. And the people are still, writing to you to make sure that you'll know that. That's a great pleasure. And in this collection, in this composition, I have 2 debut films. There is my directorial debut, and it was my thesis work. The Sun by Filippo Sodichenko, that was my producer's debut because I have never prepared the films before that. So, okay, yes. No, I've just said so that was actually the first tryout for me. That's it. I even have recorded the sound, and basically Serge Avdeyev was working on it afterwards because I was really bad in recording the sound for that film. Okay, so we will ask him later on of how it is to be working with the sound. We'll ask Sergey a little bit later, but right now I'm going to be asking you once again. 6 years ago, for you and Philip, you had this idea that let us get together and let us make this NGO in order to support the young Ukrainian filmmakers. So now, 6 years afterwards, you're looking back, and how does it feel? How does it feel? So the CUC did it complete its task? Yes, it completed its task. It keep on completing it and making it. There are some nice people working now. We have some good interns who are working, doing something. So I really like that there are the new names that are raising up, that are appearing. And I do believe that this is the most important thing that we wanted from the very beginning. It was our main task. And it's a big pleasure that the young people are joining us as well. And I'm really waiting for the KINOSEREDA festivals that will help us to launch the new names, but not to go through the already known people, because it feels like you get into the film industry, you're getting known, and people are just choosing you because of your famous name, but not because of what you did. So it was really hard, to work those, to look for those gems in the rye, and to find them and to get them going to the deep ocean. Okay, getting them to the deep ocean, I think that this is kind of reference to some kind of film. Good. There's another film that I really wanted to take away from the weights, because I do believe that will be interesting for many people who have joined us right now in our era. So how can you get a member? How can you become a member of CUC? So basically, how can you become a member of this group of young Ukrainian filmmakers? And by the way, there's a different way, and I think all of the people can tell about their story. Some people have been writing many, many letters until the help was really needed. Some people have found us on their own. Some people were found, and some people like, how can I get to you? And we're trying to freezing out. So there has been many different things, but there has to be some contact coming up. Okay, cool. So right now we have this first contact between me and you and our audience. I would like to offer them, please do not be shy and contact with Lera today throughout our air today. So ask the questions if you have any. We're going to voice them out and read them out. But now getting to the next participants of CUC, just for this brief interrogation. So please meet Elmira Asadova. She's here with us right now. Elmira, are you with us? Hi, hi. By the way, with Elmira's help right now, we have this opportunity to get together and to talk to the Ukrainian filmmakers, because Elmira is the producer of the Film Wednesday. So, okay, Elmira, can you please tell us how you got to this team of young and perspective filmmakers? Well, I don't know. I can't recall. I can't remember. I guess it happened in 2015 at Gogol Fest. Yes, I was working with Katerina Lachina, and I was the program coordinator of the Gogol Fest. And by that time, I was already dissatisfied with film. I lost my interest. I was disappointed with film. I had been done everything that I could have possibly done. And we've even received some good financing for the student films, and we have been working. We have made like 10 different films. That was basically what we're only doing. After that, the Gogol Fest, they were needed some help for Romana Batrak, and she has asked me something. Then I've met Lera, and we have talked to her. And actually, she told me that, we want to launch a cinema. And I said, I also want to launch a cinema. And so basically, we saw this idea. So maybe we can just join our organizations. Let's do it together. So yes, that's how it happened. That's how I got here. Cool. So basically, that means that you, for already 6 years, you have been involved in the. Yes. So for 6 years already, you're in the CUC, but you haven't made a cinema yet. So okay, so when we should expect the cinema coming up? Well, we're getting that prepared. Because really that is very serious endeavor. and you need to have a lot of efforts to do that, and you have to think about it, how to make it functioning, out of all this time, and for them, just to have the real income as well, and just to make it the real cultural place there. Okay, what is the biggest and the most prospective plan for the contemporary Ukrainian cinema? Well, speaking of CUC, well, I don't know. Well, basically, we are doing different projects with Lera, we're doing different projects with Sabina. And inside of the CUC, well, this is the union for the young filmmakers. And they have some ideas and the people can implement it. Like, for example, our directors, when they want, they can do the short films, and most of the time they're doing the short films, and in the platform of the CUC, they're doing that. Well, like right now, I'm also doing some of the films. Well, right now I'm working on the short film with Anastasia Babenko, but basically I'm always really interested in all this kind of different cultural events. Okay, we'll get back to Elmira, and I would like to once again ask everyone to consider the questions, whatever you have one. I think that today is the evening for the best directness. So, by the way, being direct and sincere, and I would like to introduce you with one of the most direct and the most interesting representatives of the directorial block of the directing side, Katarina Hornastai. So, Katya, hi. Hi. So how do you feel? And I'm asking you about your health right now. I'm fine. Well, I'm fine. I'm fine. Okay. I think I'm fine. Yes. So, okay. So please hold on, get well. But right now, I would like to ask you about your film. So how do you feel about your film? I don't know. I don't know, really. I don't know because basically I haven't seen it yet in the big screen, haven't seen it yet. And, I haven't seen people who have seen it on the big screen. So that is why I'm slightly, and I'm waiting for it because it kind of feels like a kind of, let us say, weird situation because I really want to let it go, but without watching it with the people, it doesn't work like that. But it, doesn't really works out to watch it. And by the way, if you do not know that, then we're only saying just film, but when we're saying film, we mean the full length debut by Katerina Hotnostai that's called The Land is Lava, that has been participating in the Berlin Festival in the Generation program. And as far as we know that there is a lot of future for this festival, it should soon will be in Ukraine, and I hope that all of us will have this opportunity to watch it on the big screen. I hopefully at one of the upcoming Ukrainian festivals. By the way, you'll be able to watch a debut by Katarina Hornostai, the film Away, that has received the Thkisian Deer in Molodys Film Festival, and I think that has been one of the most experimental films in Ukraine by that moment. So, by the way, Katya, can you recall this moment? Have you got to the CUC, and what were your ambitions at that time? What you wanted to do then, and what did you want to film about that moment? Well, that's a weird question because I don't know how to answer that question because basically it happened really naturally because I remember that we've met Lera in the Google Fest because she was then being the curator, and we've done a very weird film school at Google Fest. So that was really, really weird. And we've met each other at this moment, and we're really shy that our film's never been taken to Molodys Film Festival. And that was very nice. That was very funny because basically that year we were not selected to Molodys Film Festival, and I recall that I was so desperate that it was Away, actually. That was 2014. And I recall that I even bought myself a subscription for the Molodys Film Festival, and I went to watch all of the Ukrainian short film program. And I felt so bad that I even got ill. And I think that I felt even I felt even worse than I feel right now because I was, just waiting for it for a couple of days. And sometimes, sometimes it happens that you're getting ill when there's some stressful situation happening. But this is how we've got together with Lera. We've started to talk to one another, and basically, I've got to. I've visited Lera at one of her locations and CUC, and that was the place I've met Philip as well. Ambition, I don't know. It was just fun to be friends. Well, it was because right now, I don't know, this kind of online communication, it's not the best of life because I really want all of us to be, I don't know, freer to go out somewhere to make everything happen. Like, I don't know how you're doing that, watching this screen and without any kind of presence that doesn't have any sense, I believe. Like, I don't know, I'm looking at you, Katya, and I believe that, all of the questions that I've ever had the opportunity to ask you in many different events of the CUC that I have been moderating, they always have been like, questions like, I don't know how to answer. And I really like it. I think it's very sweet because some of the things that are still being kept as a good tradition still. So yes, I believe and we all hope that it's going to end someday and contemporary Ukrainian cinema will be able to get together to hug each other and to celebrate this birthday. Yes, I do hope that the contemporary Ukrainian cinema will not die off and everything's going to be fine and, we're going to be victorious after that. Yes, cool. So with this optimistic note and with this best wishes for victory, let us get to the next participant of Ukrainian contemporary cinema. There's going to be a director, but not only the director, but the screenwriter as well. The person who is known by his part of the first ID, Novruz Hikmet. You're here with us. Novruz, hi. Hi there. Hi there. Hi there. So should we ask you first as well? How you're doing? How's your health going? Well, I'm fine. I'm fine more or less, but still it got a little bit of problems with my health. So, okay, you've got together because Navroz was also coming back from the screenings of the Philip Sotnichenko La Polosiada film. And I guess it's not was your work at the second ID because it's the first ID because everybody knows you as already the first ID. You have already conducted your master classes as well, but you also debuted there as an actor. Well, yeah, you might say that. You might say that as well. Yes, that was a very new experience for me to be not only as the first idea or but basically to always be in the shots, and that was a lot of interesting things happening actually. So yes, but that's very interesting. That was working on this build on this first ID methodology. I didn't have to act, I would say, because I was the one I am. So it felt very natural, but it was very interesting. And I do believe we have a lot of filmings coming up because, yes, the coronavirus slightly slowed us down, but I believe that quite soon we're going to get outside of the isolation and we're continuing at the filming in Kiev. Okay, cool. By the way, filming and making his films with Philip. I think we will be able to talk about that as well. But Novruz Hikmat's debut film as the director and as the screenwriter is also available in TagFlix in the selection for the Contemporary Ukrainian Cinema. Happy birthday. We are inviting you to TagFlix, but straight away after this air. So, okay, Novruz, when was the last time that you have watched your directorial debut? It has been a very, very long time ago because this is the film from 2014. So, I don't know, maybe that was like a couple years ago that I have seen it and, watched it. But, it's not just like my debut. This is the second film that I've made after 2013. After the Molodist of 2013, that was already the picture when I was living in Ukraine, but I went home and I've decided that I would like to make a very short film in 2 weeks. So it all just came together. So that was not a directorial debut, I would say, but for that very moment, that what has been a very important film for me, because I felt the texture that I liked. I felt the way to tell, the way of telling stories that is very dear and close to me. And I think that was the moment when it really happened. It really worked out. So we're getting back to this film frequently. Well, I would say no, because, you know, this isn't already an old out project that has been a very, let us say, nostalgic film. So, by the way, we have a question to everyone, and I think that this is going to be very good if we will just mention your acting debut. Do you believe that the personalities of the characters should fit the personalities of actors? So, how can you answer that? Being the first ID, being a director, being the actor? Well, I think that's something that should happen. It shouldn't be like a mandatory thing, but there is this method, there is some methods of acting that if there is the complementary things in your behavior and then characters and personality, then it's plus, because you know you have some baggage of some good emotions and feelings, and there's not a lot of things that you have to act out, but you have to just live out your own feelings in the specific conditions. I would say that for me that was very good that, you know, I was that active first AD because what I really needed to get engaged into, that I had engaged into the filming, because when it is also written in the script that this is work, I think that was very interested because I could tune in into some specific tune for filming, not as an actor, but as a first ID. And it was very good for me because I could have been working there and I could continue in this feeling and continue this life in the shots. But I do believe that most of the action scenes are up to come, and I'm really interested in how I'm going to be working out that with a very different personalities topics, because you know when there is the different scenes, when there is going to be this triangle between man and woman, so we were going to be working there. So okay, well, wish you luck. Well, wish you very interesting and integral acting experience, and we'll wish you all the best, both as a director and actor. Maybe you will love it even more. Who knows? So please stay with us. If we'll be always happy to talk to you. If our audience have the questions to Navruz or any other participants for us today, please do not be shy. And we would like to ask you to leave the comments wherever you're watching this broadcast, wherever you watch the stream, this festival. But then please welcome the next participant of CUC, Anna Korja, the director and the producer of the film Daha Braha the Way, the co-founder of the DocuLab program and the curator for the screenings of SUC. Anna, are you with us? Yes, hi, I'm here with you. Cool, great. Anna, it's a pleasure to see you. It's a pleasure to welcome you here as well. But the first question that I would like to have from your side, can you please tell us how did you get to know these people? And how did you, there is additional sound that is being just, you know, looped in your side? No, it's just that I'm thinking when it happened. When it happened, and it's a really hard moment for me to recall, but I think it happened while we still were studying at the parallel classes in the university. But maybe I do not remember that well. But you know, we've had this. Our doors were facing the same corridor. That was basically the same moment where that we've met. And Philippe Sotnichenko, he was the previous year of our master. So I think that I've learned one of the first people that I don't know, but I think that I was always included in between with them. And I think that we're not, you know, celebrating 6 years, but like 600 years together already. Okay, cool. So you have been one of those people who have already who knew this organization for many, many years already, but we cannot see a lot of you at some of the events. So you have this specific point of view to that. In your opinion, how the organization have changed throughout the 6 years and how it influenced the Ukrainian film process? Well, that's an interesting question, but I do believe that main task from my side as a colleague and as a the friend of all of the friends of Ukrainian cinema is to develop documentaries films in order to be able to create more programs and more screenings for Ukrainian documentaries, because those programs that we have, there's not a lot of those, and we have already shown them very actively at many different festivals in the competition, outside of competition. So I do believe that my main mission is to keep on developing and promoting documentary filmmaking for the new generation. Okay, good. By the way, about the new generation that is making documentary, you are the co-founder of the Docu Lab, and by the way, that was very interesting to follow you on Instagram this year and to follow the works that you have published. I was really fascinated by that. So how did you feel about this experience of working with the young directors who already are, adult people, but who might be the same time, who might be like really a bit childish in their intentions? So does it influence your work in DocuLab, and does it influence your work with teenager and kids? Well, I think that we're all influencing one another. Whatever way it goes, we're exchanging the energy with one another, and it's really hard to do this exchange of energies online. But I do believe that we managed to do that better than last year, and I do hope that in the recent times we're going to have yet another projects with teenagers, and it's going to happen. So I actually only hoping that this energy is going to keep on developing. And even though we're online now, I think that we'll get back to offline as soon as possible, and everything will be okay. Yes, we are getting, we would like to send you all of the best for this ideas that we'll get to see offline one another soon, that will hug one another and feel the energy for one another. And we do hope that we'll be able to say all of those good things to one another personally, eye to eye. Now, let us get to the next participants of CUC. Director Pavlo Ostrikov. Pavlo Ostrikov, are you here with us? Yes, I'm here. Yes, hi. Okay, cool. Welcome, Pavlo Ostrikov. So I think all of our audiences have already known you. They know Pavlo for at least the moderator for the scripts reading for the CUC this year. But if you have been tracking out Ukrainian filmmaking, so they might even know you as a director and a stand-up comedian. Can you tell us about how it all happened in your life? I mean, the CUC, because basically I think that you are among those fewer people in this organization who hasn't graduated from Kiev Karpenko-Karaho University. Oh, yes, I've graduated from the Ukraine, from Kiev University of Culture. I try to recall the details because I can remember the story itself, but I've forgotten some of the details, and Lera will not be able to prove me wrong because oh, you're here. Okay. So, okay, if I remember it's the right way, so we've had the screenings for the short films, and I have decided that I wanted to apply with my film, with the Stop, my film, and it was selected for the screening, and my life has changed. Like, my life has really changed because we had Yuri Minzanov at this screening. He has seen this film, and we have created 3 short films with him together as a producer. He was my producer. That was very important for me, and actually that was very important for me to find people who, the like-minded people, the people who love films just as much as I do, because I didn't have a lot of people like that in my environment, because I was starting to become a lawyer, and I always wanted to be closer to people who love arts as well. And that's what happened. And in CUC, I have found that. I have found that support. By the way, the film that is titled The Stop, that Pasha has just mentioned, you can as well see at TechFlix. If you are here in Zoom with us, then you can see the link in the comments. And I'm sure that you're going to see that in other broadcasts as well. So we'll have this opportunity to talk about the Stop film slightly later on. But I would like to have a very tricky question to you. 6 years afterwards, have you been learning to become a lawyer? What kind of a good profession that is? A lot of perspectives and a lot of money, as we say that, but we will never know. But okay, so don't you feel sorry that, 6 years ago your film has been selected and you started to become a filmmaker, not being the lawyer? When I was learning, starting to be a lawyer, so we went to practice to some kind of a state something institution, and I took a look at the salaries. The official salary was 1,700 hryvnias. That's in 2012. I didn't feel like that was a lot of money. So yes, right now I see that people who have been my co-studies, they are actually having much more money than I do. But if there is something that you love, then you have to do that. So I didn't have this question rising at any point whether there was the right choice or not, because I really love what I'm doing. I enjoy what I'm doing, and this is the most important thing. Cool. I have two more questions. Tricky again. So maybe what one would you choose? The tricky and last tricky. Do the tricky one. Okay, cool. I really like doing the tricky questions. Tricky questions. So you might be one of the most successful directors in Ukraine for the short films at least, and for the debutants. And it's always for the debutants, it's really hard to pass this limit to get to the next big step. And right now we know that you're working on your full-length debut, your Cosmos, and unfortunately Yuri Minzanov has died, the one that your producer that you have been working throughout your directorial career. So what do you feel after being so successful in short films? So how does it switch to the short, so the full length films? How does it feel for you? Well, it feels really hard. It feels really hard because it takes a lot of time. And, it doesn't really fit, not in a creative way. I think that it doesn't really works out, not in an artistic way, but in some kind of mundane things. The only conclusion that I'm drawing, so you should not make the debut film about space. That's the most important outcome. Maybe you should create just, a story in one room, or, it's just better just to do a simpler story. But if I didn't like the story, I think that I would have let it go many, many times before. But I do hope that maybe this year we are the closest to making the story happen. And I believe that everything will be okay. So yes, it's really sad that Yuri Minzanov died, but I do believe that we have already created very interesting stories with him, and he will be present in this story as well. And I think that this is the most important thing, to leave something behind you. Yes, I do believe that, the story of the CUC in many ways is connected to Yuri Minzanov as producer, and it's not only Pasha who is grateful to Yuri Minzanov with the joint work on some short films as well. So yes, that is a sad moment in our conversation, but let us get back to celebratory moods. We're celebrating today, and we're continuing filming. If you'll have some questions, please do not be shy. Ask questions to Pavlo. And for all of the people who are here with us in Zoom, you'll be able even to voice out your questions if you have any. So please stay with us. We're going to get back to you, and we're going to get back to you to discuss your short film. By the way, you can watch it on Netflix. And now I would like to pass the floor to yet another participants of Contemporary Ukrainian Cinema. That's the DOP first of all, and director as well, Roman Hime. We have tried to work out who is he more at our previous Film Wednesday. So Roman, hi, are you with us? Good evening, everyone. Good. So we have already, the week has passed. A lot of things have changed. You have shaven your mustache off. Yes. So yeah, you can continue, please. I thought that you have a very specific question, but if you don't have a specific question, then I think that I would start with congratulating Lera with the anniversary and with this understanding that she was able to generate this order, this organization that is incredible. And I wanted to be very, I wanted to say sorry that for being ironic or for being sarcastic, because she might have heard it from me, because you managed to do that in this short period of time. You managed to do that. And I would say that maybe you have managed not to film or create, but you managed to motivate a lot of people for making films. And you have to remember here as well that maybe that is also has this subjective idea in my case, but I would like to say that, CUC for me was always a non-conforming organization, a non-conforming order that really helps you to make, let us say, in some way, trash films, in some way, DIY films. And I'm really happy to be a part of this family. I'm always keeping in mind that, you are a non-conformist person, that you're not going to postpone and, interpret your ideas into commercial success. Okay, wow, that's a very good thing. You have called a CUC an order. So I think you are one of the members of this order who has been the most, I don't know, participating in different projects not connected to film. But do you feel yourself a cavalier of this order in all of your actions? Well, from the very beginning, I have been present to the couple of meetings of the CUC. Then I was always absent because I wasn't even known what I'm going to be doing in the next 5 years. If speaking in 2014, I wasn't aware of what's going to be happening next. But I have known Lera, I guess, maybe from the very first days that I've got to this city. But I've met Philippe through Lera, and so I can't even recall how we got together. I can't recall how we were making the film that was called Sound, but we've talked a lot to Philippe. We had a lot of DOPs working there. That was a collective film that was basically a precedent for the Ukrainian film. I have never seen that before because we had 5 DOPs in the overall credits after that. So yeah, I can't feel myself a DOP of this film. We can work more about the nail, because the nail was the DOPW, but the sun was, I don't know. I think that we should talk about Philip, because he was able to combine many different people, get many different people together in order to make this film on the streets, because we had the real mise-en-scènes that been made there. We have been, doing that as we walked in. So I wasn't in charge of this process fully. I don't know how to say that, because I was one of the DOPs in this case, so I think that I can tell you a lot. And there's a lot of materials that I filmed never got to the film. So I think that is mostly about the process that reflects the CUC itself as the organizations. And I've said order because why do I believe that it's an order? Because Lera has believed and keeps on believing in that. But one thing that when you're considering this organization right now, but then considering this organization to 2014, those are two very different things, and it all has been built and developed in my opinion. So I'm really sending my respects to Lera and Philip for them to be making this for a longest period of time, and they're still making it happen. Cool. By the way, we're going to talk about the Sun film later on, so please, Roman, stay with us to cover the questions and to discussing this film and other films that we're about to see. Thank you very much for the wishes. Thank you very much for those interesting insights on the issues, how it all is being made. So we do not have Philip with us today, unfortunately, but we do hope that he has heard you, and he has heard all the kind words that you've said about him. And I would like to invite you to get to the next participants of CUC that joined us right now, and to meet the ears of this great order. So please welcome Serhiy Avdeyev, who is going to join us in a second. Who can hear us? Yes, right, Joam? Yes, I can hear you. Good. Good. Said he is even still working in his studio. So he's editing the sound for the full lens film by Filip Sotnichenko's sound, who have been recalled before. So I think that he is going to tell us more about how it all happened for him and how did you got the CUC into your life. Well, first of all, I'm not right now editing La Policiada. I was still filming it. It's too early for that. I'm now working on a different project this very moment. So that's why I'm still in the studio. But the CUC for me, then, I can't even recall how it happened. It has happened for a very long time, I think. I think it might have been the Google Fast, because I have been I have been watching some kind of films, and I didn't know any of these people. But then in some point, Philip has asked me to help him to work on the Sun film. By the way, I've had some students work at this moment. I was still studying in Terpankokare University at that point, but I guess Sun was the first film that has got to the big screen, in my story, in my creative approach. Okay, but by the way, I think you have a very unique position for others participants of the CUC, because for you as the sound director, you've had this opportunity to work with the most of people. Oh no, not with all people from CUC. I really would like to work with all of the people, but it would be very interesting for everyone if that would be different ears, especially that would be good for Ukrainian filmmaking. Okay, good. But considering that you had this opportunity to work with many different participants of the CUC, do you have this kind of feelings of some kind of, unified factor, or do you see that those are many different people who have just got together because of the help to one another? Well, that's all about that. That's all about that, because basically there are many different factors, and there are different people who are working in the different way, because, well, basically, there are some people who you feel more comfortable to work with. There are some people who you feel less comfortable to work with, but that is basically the desire to do your work in a good way, and the desire to tell some kind of story that you really want to tell. And my role was to help the guys to do that in the way I can do that, if I may do that. So we have to raise the level, and we have to raise the level of that. Now we have more than 40 films, and having that, I do understand that my first films, they were really like they were like, well, just no, we won't say that. Yes, by the way, we wanted to ask you, how did it feel to be working with a sound that has been recorded by Valeria Sachevets in the sound film? Well, in the sound film, that we had the certain information. Yes, but then again, concerning this experience that we already had, so now I'm really surprised that it was still there, except for Liera's breath and except for the sound of the fingers on the record button. That was hard. Okay, that was very intimate thing, and I believe that, the sound directors, I do believe that these are the people who knows a lot of intimate things about directors, and actors, because you can hear every breath that person makes, and that is a very important position for Serhi. But let us now get to our next participants of the contemporary Ukrainian cinema of the different specific. This is Anastasia Hruba, the screenwriter and editor, who has been working to support the events of the CUC, giving the opportunity for the audience to meet those beautiful people and to learn what they're doing. Anastasia, hi. Hi. I think that you have been also the representative of the youngest generation of the CUC. So how did you got into this organization, because you are the carrier of the story that is being frequently asked about, how to get into this family? Yes, I think that I have the most romantic story of getting into that, because basically that wasn't because I've met some certain person. That's because I've met the organization overall in all of the senses. I've seen what they're doing, what Lera is doing, what Philip is doing, and other directors are doing. And I thought, like, and I'm just a screenwriter, and I really need to get together with the Ukrainian contemporary Ukrainian cinema, and I only have 3 years to get into the industry, and then I will just, lose myself at all of the other people of Karpenko-Kara University. So I've had been thinking about this dream for quite a longest period of time, and then I've started, just writing to everyone in Facebook, to their mails, and I have been frozen out for a year, and then I've got to meet the director who was here with us in the year, and we made a film that didn't make up. And then also like, Anna, but you're in the CUC. And she said, yes, but can I get into that? I really want to become a participant of that. So then Almira Sadova has got me to this film class, to Google Fest, and then I was able to meet everyone. And just as an A student, so for me there was an A student complex. So I went to the first meetings with the CUC in this Kiev yard, and I thought, like, yes, we'll do something. And with us sitting there and talking about films, and I said, like, but okay, what we're going to be doing, like, I'm writing it out. And I was really ready to do something. I just didn't understood what kind of ambience that would be there. Then it's more artistic. It's not like an organization how I thought it to be, and I was really impressed by that. And I remember that I've met with Lera Sochivets, and for me that was like, okay, Lera Sochivets, she's like the biggest organizer, and she's like telling me something, and I'm thinking like, oh my god, that's Lera Sochivets. So yeah, I was like I was a fan of all of those people, and I started to volunteer and started to become inspired by everything that all of the participants are doing, because I felt that it, like, it didn't sound real for me to be working, to be a part of the CUC. And when I've communicated to them, I have become really sure that there's something possible about that, and I've got sure about that. We started to have some kind of scripts, and then I've understood that I wanted to become a director of the film. So that's like that. So so if you would like to really get to CUC, just wait for it, your time will come. Like, do not really be offended. I really know what is the overall situation and pressure for all of those people were really intense work. So anyone who can answer you will answer you. Okay, thank you very much. Cool. That's lots of hopes for all of the people who are listening to us. And if you have been listening to us and following CUC, please let us know in the comments under this streaming that you're following right now. Wherever you are watching us, please let us know. We're going to give all of those questions to the main people of this evening, who are the representatives of the CUC. I still have a question to Nastya, because Nastya, right now you are starting to work on your directorial debut. And I know that you have been working with a producer outside of the CUC. So do you still believe, do you still feel the support? So do you actually have talked to people from the CUC? Are they invited into your life? Well, basically, I'm always I'm always trying to get more advice from people who I can have. I have some people who I'm talking closely, some people who I'm closely not that much. But maybe, for example, the film has been developed with Lera Sochivets, and so we have started this idea that actually turned into the script after that, and Lera has been really helpful and supportive for me in developing the story, and I'm always trying to get her advice on that. And I really wanted to apply for some competitions, so I really talked to her a lot. So had this idea, and the CUC is our partnership organization, and have my tutor for been developing the film with me, because I am the screenwriter most of all. And I'm trying to think about my film. I don't know. I don't have. I have this trauma to make filmings for my film. I understand what is the biggest difference when you're making the story and then filming it. So I know it sounds really banal, but when you're getting into practice, when you're starting to do that in practice, you have this kind of collapse because you know nothing, you can nothing. It feels like you have given birth to the story, but you have no idea of how to depict it then, and you have to consider that. And I have a lot of questions to the young directors, and I have a lot of questions of how do they do that, because I do not have the directorial education at all. So I learn everything by doing. Cool, but you have this very code pool and cohort of the young directors that can help you with all of their experience that they have. So that's very good. And I think there's not a lot of people who can be that lucky as you are. And this is not just, simple luck, but it has been a very good effort, because Nastya has been coordinating the festival, the film festivals. And if you have been following the CUC events, I think you know her face. And if you have questions to Nastya, please don't forget to post them. And we're going to get to the next participants of the CUC, who's also responsible for something that is happening right now and for many, many other events and films of the CUC. So please welcome Sabina Sadova. Sabina, hi. Sabina, are you with us here? Hi. Yes, hi. So yes, it is a big pleasure for me to be talking to you on air with Sabina, because this is the person who's always have been organizing everything on the backstage. And by the way, even on locations, and even we are organizing some events with Sabina, I am personally absolutely sure that everything's going to be smoothly, nicely, and beautifully. So yes, Sabina, can you please tell us about the 6 years of your life in the CUC and what has changed for you in the CUC? Well, basically, I haven't been with the CUC from the very beginning. I think that I have joined CUC in 2016, in the middle of 2016, or maybe in the end of 2016. Actually, well, I can tell you how I've met the CUC, because that was very interesting. Okay, maybe not good, but that was making the film Blood by Lera Sachevets. And even Lera is now writing in the comments that, she feels like it's not the birthday of the CUC, but her birthday, because everyone is mentioning her and congratulating her. But we were making her film. And it was a directorial, that was her thesis film, and we were filming it in the dorm where I also lived. And they were getting prepared to do the filming. They were in my room, because my sister Elmira, she has already been in the organization, has been a part of the organization by that time. Actually, I didn't really like that there was a lot of people in my room, and I didn't really like that that they're getting into my comfort zone. And yes, and Lera I felt by that moment that Lera is very self-conscious. I just thought, like, what are they doing? What do they think of themselves, actually? Like, directors really filming something here? So I was working by that moment at the series, and film for me was I don't know, something I didn't feel about. I didn't believe in film for quite a long time at that moment, because I have seen a lot of Ukrainian films by that time. They were really bad films that I've seen. And then half a year after, and Lera has started to invite me then, and I said, like, no, I don't want to be the part of the CUC. Didn't really like it. But then Lera has started to invite me, and she even offered me and my nominations for somebody's film. And that's how it all started. And this is how it went on. And I've started to work with Lera and Philippe on their film, The Technical Break. And then I've got to the team. So yes, that's how it happened. Yes, please. Now, we had a very hard pass, we had hard entry, and there's been a lot of stories getting into it. And you've had this inside communication with yourself. And I just wanted to know whether it is connected to this idea that your profession, your education is in some way goes against the work because you're a film critic. Yes, I've graduated from the film criticism faculty, and I have tried myself as a line producer, as the production manager, and right now for 2 years already I'm not working with film, and I don't want to get back to film production because I am mostly interested in different projects, in cool events for film. We did this KINOSEREDA, we made the intensive for the film critics, and this is something that I really wanted to work further on. So yes, this is what I really wanted to do, for us not only to have the directors, but also for us to have the great film critics. Yes, I really love this idea of getting the cool film criticism in Ukraine, and it's very cool that even the CUC has this different vectors of work, not only making films, but also making the good criticism, and it really helps us to meet each other in the film. But it's very cool that you have this inspiration to keep on working that, to keep on doing that. So I think that we will continue in working with the heart and hands of Sabina for the good events, not only for the CUC. We'll get back to Sabina in a couple of minutes after the Q&A session, but right now we have two more participants who have been waiting for the longest period of time and have been listening to their colleagues from CUC. So please welcome yet another DOP, the DOP of the videos, advertisement, and short film. Please welcome Anastasia Roshuk. Nastya, do you have you here? Hi. I don't know if you can hear me. Yes, we can hear you. I was so happy to see you that I've started coughing. Hi, Nastya. Nice to see you. So how do you feel throughout this coronavirus time? Well, I'm fine. I'm fine. I'm healthy. I'm making films. That's it. So, okay, you're even filming during the lockdown. That sounds very good. Okay. So I think that you are one of those participants of the CUC who have joined the organization slightly later. Can you please tell us how it worked out for you, and why have you decided that I want to join them? Well, I think that maybe when I have met the guys from the CUC, I was just at the first year of the DOP, and I was interested in everything that was connected to the filmmaking. And I really needed to find the source that I'm going to be learning from when I'm going to be communicating to people, and to know how to do everything. And, the university gives you the theory, but you needed to get the practice. There's not a lot of things that you learn, and practical things that you learn. And I can't even recall how I've met them. I think I've met Elmira or Lera, but I can't recall how it happened, because I recall that I've started to work in Google Fast as well. I think everyone has got together to Google Fast in 2017, I guess. I've been making a lot of photos there, and that was really interesting there. And in 2018 in Mariupol, in the Google Fast, I'm making these photos, taking the locations, stuff like that, and when participating in different master classes. So for me, as the student for the year one for the university, to get to this master classes for the people who are making films right now, that was very cool, because most of the people, they're making films and videos, and they're making advertisement, and not a lot of people, they do not believe that you can go to the films. And I do believe that there is basically the very source that gives me inspiration. I'm really inspired that you can do something. By the way, you have a very interesting position at the CUC, because you have been working as a DOP and a photographer for the events of the CUC. But as far as I remember, you haven't collaborated with anyone from the directors of the CUC as the DOP. Yes, but I've managed to work with Serhi. That was the very first time that we worked together, when I have been working on the film sets with somebody else from the CUC. Wow, that's cool. But do you have... So you're waiting for your time. Yes, yes, I'm waiting for your time. You know, I'm just on the year 3 of the university, and there's a lots of work that I'm doing right now. So I believe that as soon as as soon as it will be clearer, and I will be more known for the audience as a director, and it will be clearer of how I make films, and then it will be much better to organize. Yes, we need some time to. I need some time to make more films. Yes. Yes, and by the way, Anastasia has already had some very interesting works that you'll be able to watch even online. For example, Maria's video. What was the title of the group? Samun? Yes, Samun. So this is an Armenian band, Samun, and this video has been awarded by the film award in KINOSEREDA festival in 2020, and it was shortlisted by the Berlin Film Festival. So if you're interested to watch what a vision Nasta has, so please look for the Samum and Maria video for the YouTube. So by the way, if you're interested to take a look at the first films, debut films of the CUC participants, please make sure you will watch it before 10 o'clock in the morning. For tomorrow, you can watch it free of charge in Tagflix, the films of contemporary Ukrainian cinema. And we have our final participant who's with us right now in the CUC, Anna Savchenko, our freshest blood. Anna, hi. Hi, everyone. Hi. Very, very fresh blood, the youngest, I would say, but I would like to congratulate all of the participants of the CUC, all of the people had been creating it throughout this 6 years and really kept it healthy, kept it nice, kept it till this moment. When I've joined here as the program coordinator of this Film Wednesday. Cool. Okay, great. So what are your future plans for collaborating with the CUC? I know that you're a student of the producer faculty, so what it is that you would like to do then for the project management, or maybe that one day you'll becoming a producer of some directors from the CUC? Well, right now, yes, I'm interested into the organizational idea. I really like to follow the creative people who are creating something new and to help them to create something so they will not get disturbed out of their creative thing. So all of the work that is connected with the organization, that is something with organizing something, is very important for me. Do you have any story that you would like to share with the young, or maybe not really young people, but people who would like to gets to the cinema to CUC? Well, how I got there, that was basically with no additional obstacles. I think it all has helped from being a volunteer for DocuDays, and I met Sabina Sadova there in 2019. And then I've got to become a volunteer for the Kino Ohlat, and I've started to talk to Sabina slightly more, and we talked about the organization, how it's being made, how it's been created, and I've learned more about the organizational details. I've met Lera Sochivets, but we haven't got to talk. But then during the summer, when I've understood that there's something I need to do, I need to get some experience, because I really, really want to do that. So I've written to Sabina directly, to the Instagram. So I didn't go to mails, and they've answered me straight away. Then yes, of course, there's some help already needed, and I've helped to Elmira Sadova for half a year by that time, and then I've got to this Film Wednesday. Okay, cool. That's a very interesting story. And by the way, it's just the story that it's not just about filming, it's also about the management, and it's also about the possible school for the young Ukrainian filmmakers. And by the way, right now, that is the whole participants of the CUC who joined us today. We've met most of the people. We didn't have the opportunity to meet some people still. If you have some questions to these people, then please let us know in the comment section on Facebook or YouTube or Zoom. So if you are here together with us, then you can actually raise your hand and we'll be able to listen to your questions and you'll receive the answer to this question straight away. But I would like to read out a couple of questions that we have already had. For example, Vyacheslav Savitsky has written a very long comment, and I would like to ask all of the participants of the CUC to answer this question and to think about that all together. Vyacheslav is asking us, well, how are you doing finance-wise? He's given us his example of making an amateur film in Poland, and he is telling us that it's all hard. You know, it's hard to collect money. It's hard to get people. And by the way, he also said that we do not have enough craziness in the film. So those important notes that does give the ideas to the people, and we only work with the video, and it's hard for us to cross the cultural lines. Lera, how do you believe? Do we have the craziness in the film? So no. Yes, I think we do have it. You know, all of the films that we made are crazy in some way. So I don't even know what the author of this comment has watched from Ukrainian contemporary films, but I do believe that right now we have a lot of very different films coming up right now. And I think that we all have different tastes, and maybe sometimes our taste do not fit, but right now you're able to find your film among all of the varieties. Like, for example, today is the last vote day for Ukrainian Film Academy. That has been a very wide pool of films, even though we had really bad conditions with financing available for a couple of last years. But we have many films for whatever you wanted to have. We have dramas, you have a Tarantino tribute, there is comedies that you can watch. So I don't know, maybe I don't get the question or comment in the right way. Maybe someone from my colleagues would like to answer that as well. Okay, I think so. What do you think about the level of craziness in our films? So what kind of comments or ideas you have, dear participants of the CUC? Well, Nina, you have been a part of the, a very crazy film yourself. Can you tell about that? I cannot say that this film was crazy because I wouldn't call it a crazy. I think it's not the best fitting words. And so once again, sending my greetings to Philippe Sotnichenko. I hope he can hear us right now and he's supporting us morally. Because, speaking of the craziness of Ukrainian films, I think that it is in a way crazy because it doesn't have any choice otherwise. You have to be competitive with a lot of content that you have in the internet and all of the other things happening around. So it's only the sincerity and a piece of craziness and perks that's the only thing that you can get your audience attracted. But what do you say by the word craziness? Because, The Stop, for me, by Pasha Ostrikov, that is like a crazy film. Yes. So, by the way, yes, The Stop by Pasha Ostrikov is very crazy film in a way, especially understanding the current realities. Yes. By the way, just would like to remind you once again, if you haven't heard it before or you have forgotten already, that all of these debut films by 7 directors who are included into the CUC are available till 10 o'clock of the 15th of April for free in the Techflix online film theater. As soon as our broadcast will end, please watch the films once again. If you have already seen the films, if you haven't seen the films, and if you had this opportunity to watch them on the numerous Ukrainian international film festivals, we would like to invite you right now to talk to us about those films. Now, we are now talking about the film Away by Katarina Hornastai, 2015. We're speaking about Kara film, which is the black film by Novruz Hikmat, 2014, The Wait by Yuri Sholov, 2015, Sun by Philip Sotnichenko, 2015 as well, The Salvation by Nikon Romanchenko, 2013, and The Stop by Pavlo Ostrikov in 2014. and a film by Valeria Sochevets, the debut film Analgesia by Valeria Sochevets. That's the film of 2014. So, ladies and gentlemen, directors, let us get to the part that is the most frightening for the directors. I think it's the questions for the directors and for all of the people who are here with us right now, for the directors, for the DOPs, and all of the people who have been connected to those debuts. So right now, I have read out through the years, and we have around like starting from 3 up to 6 years ago. So how does it feel for you to look back to this film? So what do you see about these films? What do you think about these films right now? Do you see the very beginning of what you're doing right now in those films, how your ideas got developed? I see Lera right now in my screen, so maybe Lera will start. Lera, you're muted. So can I have the question once again? I was slightly disturbed. I'm really the D student in this call. Yeah, okay, but I wanted to ask you, when was the last time you've seen your film? Analgesia? Analgesia, I watched it 2 years ago, I guess. So how do you remember? How well do you remember it? I remember it well. I think I remember this film the most from all of my films. Why? Why is that? That's the first film. You know, this is the first film. I know it really sounded dramatic. I don't know. There was mountains. There was no people. We didn't have a lot of money. Didn't have money at all. And I think that there's something that really gets into your memory. Okay, can you tell us, so how did you feel that? How did you got the idea of this film coming up and recollecting it right now, many years after? So what do you think about that right now? How did I got this idea? I really needed to make a thesis film. And from what I had among my ideas, I have chosen the idea where I need less actors and less additional action. So I didn't need to go into negotiations for very complex locations. And I couldn't find a producer for this film. So that is why I was working with the organizational moments of that. So I've chosen among my stories what will be the easiest thing to cover, in my opinion, then. And what was the second question? The second question was, how did you get the idea? You've already covered that, but what do you think about this film right now? Well, looking back, I think there are some works that I wouldn't have shown to anyone in my life, but this film, out of my university years, I'm ready to show it to people. But maybe that's because all of my short films, of the directorial short films that I've made, and there is 3 of those films and one made in co-authorship, I think that this film is the one that I love the most, even though it's been the first one. So, by the way, if you're going to be asking me, show me a film, then I think that I'm going to show you this one. I'm going to show this one, then I'm not going to show you the film that I've spent 1 million hryvnias on. Okay, that's very interesting. Why is that? But basically, yes, we know that the first film, I guess this is something that is really hard to forget. So, by the way, I think that maybe it might have identify your farther on destiny as a filmmaker, because you have been producing it on your own, and now your producing filmography is tremendous. I think you are one of the most productive producers. You are working right now with 2 full-length films, right? Yes. Yes, I've heard a little bit of sadness in this your sigh. So, okay, good. I think that we should get to the next director who also is here with us. And let us ask Katarina Hornstai, who's here with us, and her debut film, Away. And by the way, I don't know, it's really hard for me to find the best fitting question to Katarina because I have this kind of a personal story. When I was thinking, and maybe as a lot of people that, I've thought that I've never thought that Ukrainian films can be watchable and can be good until I've got to the film club of the University of Taras Shevchenko, but Katya has shown the collection of her films, and she has told us very in details about how she created the Away film and how she was developing those film language and, I don't know, this interconnectedness and tension with inside of the frame. So can you tell us, how do you feel right now having this experience of working with a full length film? So do you see some kind of continuation of this film language that you have been creating in your short films? Okay, it's hard for me to recall what I was saying in this film club because, it has happened quite a long, long time ago. It feels like it has happened last life. Yeah, that was in 2016. Okay, yeah, that was very long time ago if it was in 2016, yes. Well, just to compare with the way, what has changed? What has changed? Because, the film language, that's a very, very challenging way. I'm not going to say that I'm developing some kind of the film language, but there are some things that you're really interested in trying out. So, speaking with a way, that's a very simple film that we had this script for, we've had this dialogue, we had actors, Vika Maranyuk, Andriy Paladny, so they were really cool. They were really cool in working in their characters. They really felt like themselves. So we've changed the text slightly, not in a sensed way, but in the way how it is being pronounced, how it is being said. And it was really good that they've made this film what it is. But right now, I think that I have slightly easier existence with actors, even though that we have the script with the written down dialogues. We're just holding those dialogues just in case, in case that's in those cases when the actors, they will need some help just to make some kind of connections inside of the dialogue to find the best fitting language. But then, for example, if there is some kind of scene in the scenario where we have a lot of action going on, why you would like to write down specifically of what people are going to say if the people who are making those actions in the frame, in the shot, they know better what they can say right now. And that is why actually I think that this is the most interesting way for me to keep on moving that side, because the language is a very complex topic, I would say, a very complex topic, and you can see the actor overacting very clearly when it doesn't work out. So I really like when actors are existing in the frame, with actors when existing in the shot. I don't, let us put this way, when there are the full level of conditionality of acting. But I think that it would be the best thing for me like that. Okay, a very interesting thing that the first film you were making with the professional actors, but right now your full length debut, you've engaged the non-professional actors, you have been engaging the characters you have been looking for. So, starting out with your debut short film, you've started to keep on moving into a slightly different direction. So, by the way, we have a question from the person in our audience, the person that raised hands. So, we have Mykola Denisenko with us. Mykola, if you can hear us, then we'll be happy to listen to you and to your question, please. Mykola, can you hear us? Yeah, so we're talking about me. Yes, we're talking about you. Good evening. Good evening. We're listening to. Okay. What are the technologies are being used by the casting director so that the character's personality would meet the personalities of the actor? I really like the stories where there are different personalities, because the conflict has been built on the different personalities to be participating and communicating with one another. Okay, thank you, Mykola. Unfortunately, we do not have the casting directors here, but we have the directors who have been working as casting directors as well. And I know that Katarina Hornastay, for her own film, The Earth is Lava, then she had a very big castings. Maybe you can answer that. Well, yeah, I can do, but this is my personal point of view. I'm not sure that it's in any way applicable to others people and to other experiences, because I think that everyone does it in a very different way, and I'm sure there are many different technologies of how can you do that in filmmaking. But for myself, in the away example, but okay, at that moment I was really lucky. At that moment I was really lucky, because if you're saying of whether the personalities of the actors are have met the personalities of the characters, then it just happened by chance. Even some of the details, we had this idea that, for example, this girl says that she's leaving soon, and the reality was that Vika should have left really in real life. So there was a moment in the script that I have written was also applicable for her, to her as well. And this is idea of this relationship that have had lasted for some time and they've lost its freshness. That was a very, very, very close idea to the people. And I think that this is the moment how the film happened, because it just happened that the actors were not the actors in the situation. They just went through the story that is very common to them. And in the next film, it didn't work out with me, because I have written some kind of characters, and I have chosen the people for the roles who were really good for technical details. And I was looking for two brothers, but they were different from what I've written in the script. And when we started to work with them, I just understood that, I'm just trying to make people that are not actors to play out in a story that is really not theirs. And that was my mistake, as a director and the casting director at this moment. So that is why on the big film and in the full length film, I had even more interesting story in that understanding, because the script has the characters in it, but those characters, they are functional in some way. Basically, you're writing some kind of events there, but this is an equation that you're entering the real people into, and all the real people that are going to change your characters in a different way. The events will stay the same, but the characters are going to be different. They will be different, and you might not even think that there might work out like that inside of the text, because the text is something very semiotic. It's built on the senses and words, but there might be some additional things that will work out. So it's really hard for me to do it like this. So when I'm starting to looking for the actors, we have got to this idea that there have lots of really cool people from the age that we're looking for, and with really cool characters and with really cool peculiarities of their own. It's not just they have started to change their characters that we have given to them at this moment. They have been, the script has turned into many different other characters, that we found the whole classroom of that. And this is something that I like the most right now. So when we have been together into this work, into these characters, and you don't even think about what characters should be, it's not like that you're looking someone who really would fit into this part, but you can make even a separate film about all of those people, a separate story, an interesting film, interesting story about each and every one of them. So yeah, okay, that's it. So yeah, basically, well, I've understood it clearly. I do hope that Mykola is also satisfied with this answer. So I think maybe some of the other of our directors who are here, they would like to comment or answer this question. If no one like to add up to something, that I have a lot of questions to our directors. By the way, I would like to remind you that we do not have a lot of time left, around 10 minutes. But we're able to talk about the films. So please leave your comments and questions under the streaming wherever you're watching it. And if you're here with us in the Zoom, please raise your hand and you'll be able to ask your question, to voice out your question. But right now, I would like to ask to Pavlo Ostrikov. But Pavlo, I don't know why, like it wasn't on purpose, but I have a lot of tricky questions to you. Are you ready once again? Yes, I'm ready. Okay, good. So, I really wanted to ask you an interesting question. So I've really started coughing once again. So, okay, in your film that is once again available at Tagflix, right now in this stop, you have a story that the young couple, they're getting wild if they're not going to be domesticated. What was the year that you made this film? 2013. 2013. Cool. And right now in year 2021, the society has changed significantly. So what do you think how this film will work out with time? So because right now, you know, we have outlined the different feministic discourses. You know, I do understand it fully because I can see that fully. And I would say that my position is very strong and very feministic, if I might say that. So I believe that I like this film less because of this twist. But I would like to say that, you know, I didn't kind of intend to put some kind of my personal vision into this film. I remember that I've turned this ending just because it was unexpected, because I said like, okay, cool, that will be fun. How it all went up, how it all turned out. So yes, I wouldn't have made the film like that right now, and I would be really interested to know what was going to be their opinions for the audience who will see that for the very first time. But you know, the people that know me, they kind of know that I'm very, very nice person. By the way, I think it raises another interesting question as well, and the question that has been asked to all of the people present here. So, how does it feel to live with films that you've made when the films that stop resembling something that you are, someone that you are, or it doesn't resemble to these values that right now you're representing in your period of life? So maybe, Pasha, you can start answering this question. Well, I would like to say that, you know, this is just a film. And even comparing it to the current situation, you can actually say that I can't say that it's been really harmful to the society. It's not kind of, you know, the life experience that is really hard to live through. I'm fine. I think I haven't recalled and haven't thought about this film for a couple of years by now, and I've had a really nice life. I think it's okay. I think it's okay. I think it's okay, normal to live, because when you're making a film, it has the life of its own after that. So does not actually, it's not connected that much with the authors in a way when it's being seen by the audience. Yes, by the way, that's a very interesting notions about the death of the author, and Roland Barthes has been mentioning that you know, the person who is responsible for the film or any other work of art is being deleted from this work of art when this work of art is being replicated and duplicated and shown. And Katya, Lera, maybe you have some of the comments about that, because your filmography has already had a loads of films. And so what is your idea? How do you coexist with your filmography and with the things that have been relevant to you before and maybe are not that relevant for you now? Well, there's a very interesting thing, and I really like that to talk about that, about films that, you know, there are some certain moments when the film's been created and then you actually see that and you do not like this film. I cannot watch this film away because I was making this film as an DOP on my own, and that's not a very nice work to be done. So, you know, sometimes I don't really, it's difficult for me to watch that. You know, I've seen this film for myself in a very different way, and I really like it in a different, because of the different things. But I do believe that, first of all, you have to appreciate that you used to be like that, because it fits the idea of what you have been when you have created it. I think that if it has been half a year time, that you wouldn't have created it at all. Or maybe then maybe it would never been created right now. So I don't know. I don't know. I'm really happy that all of those films have created the moment that they should have been, that should have appeared, and I'm really happy that they are what they are. Because even with the script of the big films, like when you're writing the big films, you're doing this 3 years and you're writing it and writing it. And if you have if you had the money before that, then it might have been a very different film. So I'm really happy in some way that I has been creating this script for 3 years and it has turned out to what it is right now. Or for example, if we had spent a little bit more time to get prepared, so I think that my period with being in love with those guys, it would have dissolved, and I think it would have been a film with a different ambience, so and different sentiment. So I think that our fiction film is basically the shots of some certain period of time. There are the pictures of us and of our environment that are basically the documentary films about us. It's not about the authors of the film, because film is about the collective art. It is a tremendous group of people who's working on that, and everyone is important. If one element collapses, then everyone feels that. So yes, I think that is in some way a documentary track, a documentary trace of the existence of more than 20 people of the crew. And I think it has the right to be whatever that is. Wow, cool. So, okay, so the retrospectives not only have the chance to be, but they have to be respected as the certain artifact from one point of view. And okay, so we still do not have a lot of times left just to wrap up this conversation with you, this celebratory conversation for today. And I have a question to everyone here who are here with us, the members of the Contemporary Ukrainian Cinema. I think that no one really asks when people are asking, no one people really like when you're being asked, what is your favorite film out of your filmography? But I still would like to know, what is the favorite film out of the CUC filmography? So you can choose whatever you like. So Anna, we would like to know to you, because we haven't had Anna for a lot of time. And by the way, I have got prepared and even tuned in. I have the answer to this question, because out of the films that you might see, you might watch, or you have already watched at TagFlix, I think that my most favorite, and the one that I don't get, is the film Salvation by Nikon Romanchenko, and I will tell you why. I think that if he's now listening to me, I think it will be interesting for him to learn that I'm talking about his film, because this story has been really strongly connected to all of us, because he has been at the year older than I was, and Lera, Nikon, and all of the guys that were at their year. Well, like, when you're invited to the university to watch the graduation the works or the diplomas works from the year older, you say like, okay, I would never be able to do that. And for this story, he invited my classmate, and he actually take him as one of the main part. And there was another person who played there as well. It was the father of our classmate. So it's basically, when you are invited into this environment, you cannot stay aside from what your colleagues are doing, especially if living and working in the university there, because we had lots of sleepless nights and sleepless evenings rehearsing and editing the films in the universities. So basically, that was this feeling that it was the story that I think that Nikon can tell that more about how he filmed that, because I'm not going to give you the plot line even. But I remember this feeling when the main character runs through this park, and there is an evening, and there are lights behind him. There are some colorful flashes, and it really looks like it's a French film. And I felt like, oh, how did he create this ambience? How did he create this ambience? Yes, Katya, I know you're really laughing about that, but I think that it's not only Katya who laughs, because everyone is laughing. The participants of the CUC are laughing. But this is a very romantic point of view to this film. Actually, that was a very romantic story about these correlations between different generation, and this desires to see other people. And we don't have a lot of time. We only have 9 minutes. We just would like to know, what are your favorite films for the CUC? Maybe not only the ones that are available right now for the TagFlix view. Maybe you have some other films, and maybe some of our participants of the CUC as well would like to learn more. Because I would really like to listen to Serge Avdeev's answer, because I kind of feel what his answer is going to be, but maybe no. Well, out of what is available, then I would like to say that I really like Katya's film Away, because I really, really liked it when I watched this film at Molodys Film Festival. That was really cool. That was really cool. That's where the real emotions that I really like to go there. That's very cool. I think speaking about the CUC overall, then I really like this film, not just in the CUC, but this was the Nail film by Philippe Sotnichenko. That was my debut, I guess, and because basically that was there was there was a film that I've tried to do the right way in 5:1 format. So I really like this kind of films. I really like these films, and I was really asking. I really liked working with Philip, and I really love this film, and I really felt good, and I felt cool that I have been a participant of this kind of action. We have a lot of flattering things to Philippe today, but no, it's not Philippe it's about his film. Okay, good. Yeah, so yes, the Philippe's film are really cool. But okay, does anyone else would like to share their favorite film with us? You, I need to share. Nastya has it. Okay, tell us about that. Yes, I can't say that I have the favorite film from the CUC. I think that is a very controversial issue, because basically we are the participants here. And if I'll say that I like Pasha's film, then I'm going to offend everyone else. So I have decided I would like to get a diplomatic story about it, because I cannot say that I have seen all of the films by all of the directors, but I clearly understand what is the overall feelings that I've had after watching that, because I have been visiting throughout all of the film Wednesdays and watched all of the films there. So I can say that for Lera's films, Lera Sochevets' film, they are the closest to me in the feelings, because I understand those films. I think that there is some similarities for me and Lera, and I really feel those. But the films of Pasha Vostikov, I am watching them and I'm thinking about the script, and I'm thinking how cool it is. That is why I really love the Graduation 97 film, because it works for me. And I'm always thinking that I want to make a film like that. And if we were speaking about the Away and the Lilac, and I feel like you could do